Good morning, Isaac. How you doing? Sir Isaac, how are you, sir? You well?
Very good, sir. How are you?
I'm blessed always, in all ways. Can't complain. What freedom is to me. Kicking off at the Tate this month, and something I'm very much looking forward to. I'd imagine the hard work's done, Isaac. Talk about the process of bringing this to life.
Well, I think it's really very exciting to be able to show my works, which I've been working on for some time, all in one space at Tate Britain. And in a way, I would say that a lot of my works have been made and shown abroad, internationally, I'd say over the last 20 years. And it's great to be able to bring all of the works, of which several have been made actually here in London or in the UK, and to be able to show those works really in your home city. Yeah, so everybody can see what I've been up to. I've been up to quite a few things. So it's going to be great to be able to kind of share all those works with everybody. And I think it's going to be, I'm quite excited to see the response. Yeah, because I've been making works and showing them and exhibiting them in different museums around the world, such as the Pompidou, Museum of Modern Art, Los Angeles County Museum, and even a work at the Academy of Motion Pictures, which is, of course, the Academy Museum in Los Angeles, and different places such as Sydney. But, I haven't actually had a kind of, solo show since I exhibited my work just before the Turner Prize at the South London Gallery, which was in 2000, I think. So it's quite a long time not to have an exhibition in a museum context of your work. Although, of course, I've shown at Victoria Miro Gallery over the period, which has been the main place where people have been able to see my works, but not to have it in a museum like the Tate, of course, where everybody goes to the Tate, so to speak, and it's going to be assembling works, across 40 years. So I think both the Voice newspaper and I have this in common in terms of the years we've been making, as it were, our presence felt.
I recently spoke to one of your co-creators, Isabella, and I spoke to her about the selection process that goes into exhibiting 40 years of work. She said she felt like what you guys have achieved was a concise edit that feels representative of the arc of your career. I mean, you've done so much. I wonder, what do you hope that people take away from this experience?
Well, I think what we've tried to do is, of course, Isabella Maidman is the curator of the exhibition, and of course you can't show everything because I've made quite a few works, but I think what you're going to get is the kind of possibility to experience lots of different works from different times. So works from the 80s, beginning with really early works, such as a work called Who Could Colin Roach, which I made in 1983 as a student while I was at St Martin's School of Art. And that work became very pertinent, I think, for me, especially thinking about 2020. And when I made Lessons of the Hour in 2019, which is the work about Frederick Douglass, who was the freedom fighter abolitionist, who actually lived in Scotland. And he, when he came to London and did his tour in the very early days for the abolition of slavery, because of course he was born enslaved, but became sort of free and became one of the most important spokespersons, really, of his time. And so there's a way in which it linked back to the questions around human rights and, of course, the question of freedom that Black people have been struggling and fighting for. So this very early work, which would be an early work, Who Could Colin Roach in 1983, actually came back to life for me in a way when I was making that work. So, but there's lots of different works, and the 80s is a whole area when I was in the Sankofa Film Video Collective, when I first started making work, which is when my works first started to be reviewed by The Voice, actually. And dare I say, we weren't very happy about the reviews we got.
I'm just glad it still resonates with you all these years later.
You know, Tony Swell, you know, not my favorite art critic, but dare we say, we didn't like his report that much that he gave around diversity. That wasn't very well accepted either. So dare I say, you know, the kinds of things that we fought in the Sankofa Film Video Collective then doesn't escape me now. You know, there's still similar thoughts. But of course, you know, The Voice has matured. I have matured. Everybody's matured. And I think, yeah, it's really great today that there is a kind of much deeper appreciation of the arts. And I think the kinds of films that we were making in the 80s at that particular time, of which The Passion Remembrance, 1986, which looks at the Black Power movement from a Black feminist perspective, mainly, and films like Young Sir Rebels, which won the Semaine de Critique for Critics' Week Prize at Cannes in 1991. I mean, these films are also going to be shown at the National Film Theatre, the Barbican, you know, so there's an overall kind of, if you like, look at one's work. But in the Tate exhibition specifically, the work that people haven't seen have been the multiple screen works. And these are the works which, in a way, I've been known for, I would say, the most in terms of my recent practice. And so I think having people having access to my newest work, like Once Again, Statues Never Die, which looks at the whole question around the returning of stolen African objects, and also the way in which in the 20s, those debates were ignited by Black philosophers like Alan Locke, who's in conversation with Alfred Barnes, who in a way was very, you know, one of the catalysts, collectors of the time, who was assembling African art and putting that next to Matisse's and Picasso's and doing that whole point in modernism. And I guess in my work, what I'm trying to do, as I did in Looking for Langston, is to go back to the Harlem Renaissance and to look at this high point in Black modernist artistic production and to say we were there and that there was actually this critical Black queer presence that was really at the forefront of constructing a Black arts movement, of which Alan Locke espoused. And so I think, you know, some of these debates are debates which are haunting the present. And I think that's what will happen a lot when people see the works, hopefully, that they'll have the sort of idea of works like Western Union Small Boats, which I made in 2007, which looked at the ways in which people were being treated, who are trying to, as it were, leave North Africa into Southern Europe. And of course, this debate around small boats, you know, we go up to, you know, 2023, is a problem that's landed right on the sort of, if you like, shoulders of our current PM. You know, when I think about Braverman and Sunit, they're not my favorite political leaders at all, you know, in terms of people of color, in terms of leading a debate around where I think there should be a lot more sympathy in relation to those journeys. But when I made that work in 2007, it was very much looking at the ways in which the reception to those voyages in an Italian context was new in the European context. So people have the chance to see that work. And there are several other works. And I think what Isabella's done is to choose the different works which she feels will resonate with audiences. And I'm just really excited to see how that kind of develops over the period of time that the exhibition will be on at Tate Britain.